Well, hi everyone, it's me, Kat. So, I have a message right now, and this is for someone very specific, and I hope to goodness that he gets this. This message is for Brad Arnold, who, if you don't know who Brad is, he's the lead singer for the band Three Doors Down. Brad, yesterday I saw that you liked the post that I tagged you in on my other page, The Diary of My Perfection. And the post is an excerpt from the diary that I've been keeping. It's the documentary of my life, so to speak. And it's my life. It's my everything. It's the pages of my life. And what I wanted to say to you is, I am going to be 51 years old next week, and I'm sure you get these types of comments a lot, and people like to blow smoke up a rock star's ass like, nobody's business. But I have to really tell you that, it's what you see right here. I've been through it. I don't know how I survived to be 51 years old, 50 wonderful years old, but actually I do. And, there's a whole lot I could go on and wax poetically, but what I will tell you is I've had a journey, and up until a certain point in my life, I had a lot to say about a little bit of everything. I've been a train wreck. I've been a chaos bus. I've suffered with mental illness, and I am a suicide attempt survivor. I've lost a child. I've lost the two kings of my heart, the two men that love me the most in this lifetime, other than my son. I've watched them both dying right in front of me. My husband, I lost to suicide just over a year ago. But I was, in my journey, I spent a lifetime with all these freaking things, like just all, dancing around my head. It was like a scream inside my head all the time. And there were so many times at so many different junctures, like I literally wanted to either shoot myself or just die, or like bang my head up against the wall, because I was so hurt, I was so broken, and I was at such a loss for the proper words that I needed to say, or just needed to find and get out of myself so that I could start on my road to healing. So there was a process to it, and it's all in my blog. As a matter of fact, the very first entry, my blog is a documentary style. It's an entry by entry, and it goes back to the very first day of my life, the day I was born, September 17th, 1969. And if you're ever bored, check out my blog. It's pretty good. It's called The Diary of My Perfection. That's not what I'm here to say. What I do want you to know is, as a person who is highly affected by music, I believe that music is a gift from God. I believe that music in every form it's a gift. And one of the purposes of which was to help the human beings that he created to find pieces of themselves that he knew that we were going to need to have that catharsis, and the process that becomes a human being and a human spirit when they've connected with certain types of music. I lived this life and I walked this road for almost 39 years, and I was this close. I was this close. I can't tell you enough how much I felt trapped inside of myself. I felt lost inside of this world, and I did just want to die. And so back in June of 2008, I had made it to a certain point, and I went off on a trip. I ran away to France with my son. My son is now 28 years old almost, but this was back when he was in high school, I was offered an opportunity to chaperone. He went to a private school in Dallas, and we took a trip to France. And because of some circumstances I was in, and because I knew I was about this close to death, I decided to take this trip to France in one last effort to just figure out what the actual fuck I was going to do. I'm going to try not to cry. What I was going to try and do with my life, and how I was going to pull my head out of I didn't know what I was going to do. This trip was a last-ditch effort to help me find me. I hadn't heard of Three Doors Down up until that point. Not really. I was 39 years old, and I was doing the mom thing. As I said, I'd lost a daughter, and then I had another daughter. She was almost two at the time. By the time I took this trip in June of 2008 to France. So I went to France. I found a lot. It was a great trip, but at the end of the trip, all this stuff happened. At the end of the trip, I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had an epiphany. I did have a moment there in France. It was the first moment of a series of moments that I was going to need to save my own fucking life. And the irony is, my son was, I think he was a sophomore in high school at the time. So I was with him and 30 of his friends. It was really cool. I guess I was considered a cool mom at the time, and I really enjoyed that time. And during that process, being in France, being on the plane, being on the tour buses, and being all over France for those 11 days with my son and his friends, I was introduced to Three Doors Down. I may have heard some Three Doors Down in the past. I don't remember, but I never really connected with it. And one of the kids on the trip said, you would like this band, because I don't know. So long story short, it was Saturday, June 28th, 2008, I believe it was. We were on our way home. I was sitting on the tarmac in Nice, France. I was digesting all of this, everything that I had put a lot of things together, and I figured out, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but I still wasn't sure. And we were sitting on the tarmac. I will never forget this day as long as I live. And I have a point here as to why it was so cool to see that you liked my post called The Real Life, because that post was important. That song, I have a song for every one of my diary entries in my blog. And so if you were to ever look at my blog, you'll find probably, there's probably at least 2 or 3 dozen of my life moments and songs and diary entries that are attached with the Three Doors Down song. But June 28th, 2008, I'm sitting on a tarmac waiting for, we were waiting for someone to get on the plane, so that we could come back to Dallas. I had all the boys with me, and I wasn't in a good place. I was not in a good headspace, because I was scared to go back home, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do when I got there, but I just knew I was going to have to do something. So I'm sitting there. This was back during, at that point, we still had those Walkmans with the little styrofoam, the little foam eared things. I'm sitting on the airplane. I was just beside myself, trying to decide what was I going to do when I got back to Dallas, because I knew I was going to have to make a decision about some big decisions in my life. I just didn't know how I was going to go about doing them. I'm sitting on the plane. I have the headphones on, my little Sony Walkman, and one of the kids had given me his Three Doors Down disc. It was actually in the thing, and I was listening, and this song, The Real Life, started to play. And I remember that moment just like I remember it, and I'm going to cry. I remember that like it was happening right now. I even remember what I was wearing at that moment. I had a hat on. I knew, I can see it. I can picture it. I can feel it. I can taste it. And as the music started to play, and as the words started to spill out and into my ears, it was like, it was a turning point for me. It truly was. Which is, I can't even tell you. It was at that moment that I realized that what I needed to really, what I most needed to do when I got off the plane and back to Dallas is I was going to have to, unfortunately, I was going to have to turn my whole life upside down so that I could find a real life and find the truth. I was going to have to do that work that nobody ever wants to do, which is dissecting a life of farce and falsity. I was living a lie. I was living insanity. And I just realized when I listened to that song, that song told me everything that I needed to do when I got home. And guess what? After that song got done playing, literally after the song got done playing, this man walked onto the plane. He was this man from Sweden that changed. He was the game changer. Like, that was the next blog that I wrote. And so yeah, that song means a lot to me. Those words mean a lot to me. And if you've ever wondered once in your lifetime, in your career, if what you do as a musician has ever mattered even once, just know that I am a human woman. I'm a woman who, it was that one song. It was those words. They cut me. They wounded me. It was the most beautiful thing because it was the truth that I didn't know I needed to hear until I heard it. And once I heard those words, there was no turning back. There's a lot more to the story, but I'm here to tell you that you see my name, my Instagram name, I'm the real Cat Williamson. And my blog, The Diary of My Perfection, it's all about how I became real. And I want you to know, Brad and the band, that I attribute a lot of my mental wealth and where I am and how strong I've become and the beautiful, real, authentic version of myself that I needed so desperately to find and to make peace with. I attribute a lot of that to you and that song, and I cannot thank you enough. I want to make sure before my life is done that I give credit where it's due, and you get a lot of the credit. So I want you to know that I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for that song. I'm thankful for all of the words that you all helped me find so many pieces of myself. It's like you wrote the soundtrack to my life. And that's saying something, because I've had a pretty interesting, colorful life. So again, just know that if you've done anything right in your lifetime, there's a human woman sitting right here in Dallas, Texas, who managed to make it to 50 wonderful next week if I'm lucky. And although I've walked through hell and back so many times, I'm still keeping it real. Here I am keeping it real, and I know the truth, and I've figured it out. And all the pieces of myself that I never knew were fucking lost started coming together with that song. And I want you to know that's something. You had a big part in helping save my life. And so I just thank you. And I hope that you see this. I hope that you see this message, because it's coming from the most real place in my heart. And this message is a long, long time coming. Thank you for liking my post, by the way. That was like amazing. It's so cool when I see someone that was an important part of my life with the music, like the things that I write. It means everything to me. So thank you very much. Signing out, the real Cat Williamson.